Hello, it is Thursday, June 15th, 2023. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Thursday puzzle today, which means we might have some kind of ambitious or interesting or intricate theme. This potentially, what did I say? Interesting, ambitious, or intricate edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by David Innes, Josh Lucas, Bradley Pirtle, and, as always, the invaluable Timothy Mark, the indomitable Shoalmaster, and the incredible Horan family. So thank you so much to the 6 of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, for their generous support. They really are keeping this channel going, keeping this series sustainable. So for that, I'm very appreciative, and thank you to everybody who is a patron of the Daily Solve. It really does mean a lot to me. And you can find out more about that at patreon.com/dailysolve or in the link in the description field underneath the video. There, of course, you can find all of the bonus videos for Patreon members as well as for benefactors, the Daily Solve Let's Check the Crosses mug. So, thank you again to everybody who is or has been a patron. And do also subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not done that at any point. And you can also join the Daily Solve Discord chat server, a nice friendly chat community. There's a link in the description field as well. So let's get on to today's crossword, shall we? This is the second construction by David Harris. And as noted, it's a Thursday puzzle, so it probably has some kind of particularly interesting theme. And it was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. So let's start solving, see what's in store for us. Markers of a sort. Pens, maybe? As in, a colored marker. Particles proposed by Michael Faraday in the 1830s. I mean, I don't remember if this is something I've specifically learned. My guess would be ions, because they sort of seem like they would have been known longer than some of the other kind of subatomic particles, but so I don't know, that's just my guess. Let's see, markers of a sort. Oh, inks then, maybe? Markers, inks. I don't know. Years ago. Once. Yes, okay. Sorry, I feel like I'm reading these very slowly today. Anyway, let's see if we can move a little more quickly. I'll handle that. Oh, maybe one of these is wrong, actually. I'll handle that. On it. So markers of a sort. Surely not also ions. What about this? School whose colors are blue and gold. Oh, UCLA? University of California at Los Angeles? Because these are essentially also the colors of the school I attended, UC Berkeley, the University of California at Berkeley. So, but I think they're basically the same colors. Markers of a sort. Oh, IOUs, I see. So you could have a marker if you owe someone money, maybe in a poker game or something. You could give them a marker to indicate you owe them money. Taken care of. Served? No, that doesn't work with this. Looks like the Nile. The river whose celestial mirror is the Milky Way in ancient myths. The Nile. Oh, right. Yes, I have heard that. Pieces of poetry could be stanzas, maybe. You could have several stanzas in a poem. And taken care of, seen to. I've seen to it. I've taken care of it. To besmirch is to tar. You could besmirch someone's name, tar them, smear them. Comic book sound effect could be zap, I suppose. And a campaign to influence emotions and morale, informally. Informally, what is that asking for? A something op? Oh, a psyop, maybe? Psychological operation, psyop, that could be it. Picasso, for one. A what? What is Picasso an example of? Painter, obviously, which starts with P, but it doesn't fit. And this is being referenced by our theme. So male zebras. What are male zebras called? And then that is being pointed to by, by 37, which says where you may go after reaching an impasse, or a hint for solving this puzzle's 12-starred clues. Where you may go after reaching an impasse. back from the back from the edge or something. I'm not sure. What are male zebras called? Where else was this pointing? Inappropriately jocular. What's worrying is, I fear this is the case. Inappropriately jocular. So if you're inappropriately jocular, if it's inappropriate, maybe you're being kind of, I don't know, sort of, I was going to say uncouth, that feels a bit too strong, but frivolous or something like that. You're being kind of not taking things seriously. Fiery feelings, ires maybe? Oh no, this doesn't look right, does it? One's touched to be of service. iPods or iPads or something maybe? I'm thinking because they have touch screens. I'm wondering if that's what this is. Exam that many take in high school. I don't think I ever took this, but the ACT exam. It's an alternative to the SAT, I believe. Okay, inappropriately jocular. What is this? Get more complex as a mystery. It will deepen. And to take a stride with pride is to strut, maybe? Inappropriate. Oh, facetious? Does it continue here? Others? No. I mean, facetious certainly could mean inappropriately jocular. So you're being facetious. You're not necessarily, I don't know, it's not always inappropriate. Sometimes it could be appropriate, I think. But I see what they're getting at. They're not taking things seriously. So fiery feelings. Fragrant compound is an ester that comes up in the crossword not infrequently. Oh, right. I see. I see what's going on here. Fiery feelings. This is facetious. Fiery feelings are passions. This will be something like go back to the beginning or something like that. So fiery feelings are passions. We're taking the PASS. We're concluding passions with ions. We're taking the ions as proposed by Michael Faraday in the 1830s. We're adding it on. Facet, we're adding the IOUs, facetious. Boy, it's a good thing I solved both of these early on. So what about this? Male zebras. Presumably all the downs will match with the downs. So passions. So stallions? Are male zebras called stallions? I didn't actually know that. I'm just guessing that because a horse could be a stallion, so presumably a zebra as well. They're obviously closely related. Right. So maybe this is this back to the. No, it's not back to the beginning. Back to the. Oh, back to square one. Back to square one. That's a much better. That's much better because we're literally referring to square one of the crossword, both the across and the down. Wow, that's great. That's really clever. I really like that theme. Okay, well, let's see if we can get these other ones. Misleadingly plausible. It's, well, now, of course, I won't be able to. Was this one? Yes, political groups are sections. That doesn't really work. Political groups are, oh no. I thought I figured out, I mean, I did figure out what was going on in general sense, but now I can't get any of the specifics. Forcibly remove, pull out. Political groups are factions. There we go. Do these all make words? They do all make words. That's even more clever. So a fact, a facet, pass, stall. These are all words as well. This is really well done. Okay, so what was this? Misleadingly plausible. Specious, maybe? You're making a specious claim. It seems like it sounds like it's plausible, but it's actually misleading and incorrect or dishonest in some way. Stead lieu, so in your stead, in lieu of you, instead of you could say. T-Bonds or T-Bones brand. Is that a pet food brand from Alpo, I guess, maybe? I don't know. Or rather a sort of product line from the brand Alpo. Babe in the pasture could be a calf. And others in Latin are alia, as in et alia, so and others. Pashmina fabric is it cashmere? Is this, forcibly remove is push out, right? Okay. So pull out I think of as, pulling something out physically, whereas pushing someone out forcibly is often how you describe ejecting someone from a position, from a role. So pashmina fabric must be cashmere. It is cashmere. That does, I do recognize that. And then frequent setting for the Ninja Turtles. I actually don't know that I've ever seen any Ninja Turtles thing, but I do know that they live or work in a sewer. All right, they should just go ahead and do that. Let them. They should go ahead and do it. Shiny coat could be a lacquer, over wood or something like that. Multiple episode pilot question mark. Multiple episode pilot question mark. So the question mark indicates some kind of pun or wordplay, but I'm not sure, I don't see which one it is. Part of HRH, so that's His or Her Royal Highness. With this S here, it must be his, which fits. Anyway, so multiple, sorry, I just was thinking about this. Multiple episode pilot, Han went, I see, it's because, wow, what a funny clue. Because Han Solo is present in multiple sort of episodes of Star Wars. Is that what this is referring to? I think that's probably the answer. Wow, that's very subtle. Until you get it anyway, and then it seems obvious, I suppose. As written, 6. So you would write this to indicate that if you're quoting something and there's a misspelling or some other error, you would add this to indicate the error is not mine, it was in the original source. Palindromic plea could be SOS, which doesn't stand for Save Our Ship or Save Our Souls, but it's just, those are sort of backronym unpackings of this. It's just a useful collection of letters in Morse code. Skinny question mark. Dermal? I think what this is getting at is that we're using skinny in a kind of punny way. So I think we're using it to be essentially an adjectival form of skin. So skinny, sort of skin-like, relating to the skin. And dermal could also indicate that. So I think that's what's going on. Overdo it as an actor is to emote. Keep saying things overly strongly. All right. Mary Louise Parker show about a suburban mom dealing pot. That was Weeds. I remember that existing. And Rosencrantz and Guildenstern for 2 are Danes. They are from the play Hamlet, which is, of course, set in Denmark. Save them for a snowy day. Sleds, I guess you would save for a snowy day. And Dullsville is not head, but rather tedious, because we're combining it with our square one across clue. Very good. A foolish expedient for making idle people believe they are doing something very clever when they are only wasting their time. Per Shaw. What is it? The press? I don't know. As in the sort of news media? I'm not sure. I assume this is George Bernard Shaw. Has the wherewithal. If one has the wherewithal, one can do it. Oh, chess. Oh, that's funny. Foolish expedient for making idle people believe they're doing something very clever when they're only wasting their time. Harsh. What does that say about crosswords then? Anyway, blowhard's exhalation. I'm not sure. I can't quite see it. This looks like Dao Te Ching to me. And likely to cause an argument. Oh, and here's one of our square one clues. So this will end with IOUS. Contentious? Yes, and that's a word, of course, content. So there we go. It's a contentious argument. It was likely to, it was a contentious claim. It was likely to cause an argument. Blowhard's exhalation, hot air. You could say you're full of hot air. That's all you're blowing. That's all you're exhaling. Soothing succulent. Oh, wow. It's actually been quite a while since we've seen the official medicinal plant of the New York Times crossword, aloe. There we have it. It's been maybe a couple of months, I think. I don't remember seeing it recently. Muppet host of the Not Too Late Show could be Elmo, presumably, one of the Muppets. And a total rookie would be a noob, and it's spelled in this kind of what I think of now as being a bit archaic in internet terms, anyway. Sort of, I don't know, early mid-2000s kind of online spelling where you replace various letters with numbers. Anyway, so rookie is a noob, and newbie, someone who's new to something. And that's my cue is I'm on. Maybe before you go out on stage and emote, wherever that was. Yeah, there it is. All right, causes of stress are tensions. And so we have tens, which is a valid word, of course, and it combines with the ions to make tensions. And then here we have holds up, so you could hold up a bank, you could rob a bank. All right, first year law course, torts maybe, which deals with sort of legal wrongdoing. And then experienced through another. Is this going to be vicar and vicarious? Yes, I think it is. So a vicar, of course, that's a word. And then if you experience something through another person, you experienced it in a vicarious manner. Descriptive lines under photos. Captions? Yes. I know. Capped. What is that? Oh, it's the abbreviation for captain. Right, okay. That is a valid word, I think. Because abbreviations do appear in the crossword. Babe in the woods could be a cub, maybe a bear cub. Let's look at the crosses. Figures on a balance sheet, yes, those could be debts. You could have debts and assets. And to blow is to erupt as a volcano might, or a person, metaphorically. Yearning is a desire. Held dear, you, one held dear. Loved, oh, right, okay, yes. So we're saying, I held her dear, I loved her, you could say. So it's that's how that works in this case. Actress Ruby, who emceed 1963's March on Washington. Ruby D, I think. Is that right? I'm pretty sure. Let's look at the cross, though. What's the use, you could ask, so that was correct. And port type is, USB port, like in a computer or electronics device. And then just a scotch could be just a dab, just a little bit. And I think this word was introduced to English via Japanese from U.S. Soldiers serving who stationed in Japan. I think I learned that at one point, having looked it up after the crossword, because I realized it was one of those words I kind of generally had in my vocabulary, but didn't know the origin of. Anyway, hopefully I'm remembering that correctly. Apologies if not. Grasslands of South America are llanos. There we go. Finally typed it in properly. This comes up not all the time. It's not crosswordese, I wouldn't say, but it comes up probably more often than your average person who doesn't live in a geographically relevant area is likely to use it. Picasso for what? Oh, Pablo Picasso. Yes, okay. Picasso, he is one of the Pablos, one of the many Pablos who existed or exists. And it helps you find your balance, an ATM, an automated teller machine, a cash point. And gym and swim facilities could be YMCAs, which are sort of community and recreational centers. Co-worker of Kent and Lane. This is Superman, right? Clark Kent and Lois Lane. Olsen, I think I've encountered this before. Is it Olsen with an E or with an O? I have no idea. They're both valid spellings of the name. What about this? Roller derby protection. Could be a knee pad, so it's Olsen with an E, which somehow looks more authentic to me. But I don't know. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's not even the case. I don't know. I don't think there's such a thing as authenticity when it comes to names. So that was an odd thought. Anyway, wriggler wrangler could be an eeler, someone who wrangles wriggly fish, who catches eels. Cartridge filler could be toner. You put ink toner in your printer. And Apple varieties could be Mac Pros. There is a computer, the Mac Pro. I don't think they've released one in quite a long time at this point, but it has existed. And video game quests, let's see if that Mac worked out. Video game quests are missions? Yes, that works. Because miss is, of course, a valid word, and we've combined it with our square one clue. Concerning is as to, you could say concerning this matter, as to this matter. And disco or cabaret, those are examples of clubs. But of course, because this is an or clue, the answer isn't clubs. That would have to be disco and cabaret. we're only saying disco or cabaret, so one or the other is a club. And so anyway, that's an L. La Isla of informal title for the Mexican version of Survivor. Oh, right. So it must be called The Island, essentially, in the Spanish language version. And then earnestly hitting the books is, oh, right, because I was thinking stud, but studious. You're earnestly hitting the books. You're studious. You're conscientiously preparing for an upcoming, I don't know, exam or something. And finally, if one breaks down, one sobs, one cries. And that's it. Very nice Thursday puzzle. Really enjoyed that one. That's a great Thursday theme. It's the sort of thing that is, it's not a brutally difficult puzzle, but it's an unusual theme that, I haven't seen this one before anyway, specifically this kind of square one based across and down couplet of prefixes. It's very clever. So let's just go through what we had. We had facet, which becomes facetious, spec, which becomes specious, ted, which becomes tedious, content, which becomes contentious, vicar, which becomes vicarious, stud becomes studious, and then with the downs, past becomes passions, fact becomes factions, stall becomes stallions, stallions, miss becomes missions, capped becomes captains, and finally tens becomes tensions. And with all of those, we have created these transformations by going back to square one, which is where you might go after reaching an impasse. Very clever, very well executed theme by David Harris. I really enjoyed that one. Hope you did as well. Let me know how you fared with this and when you caught on to the theme and how you caught on to the theme. I'm always interested to hear those experiences. And so great. Having said that, having completed the puzzle, let's move on to a few clues from yesterday's puzzle. There were actually several from yesterday's puzzle. So first from BHAVZ89, this person says, I have a Seiko watch too, although it's pronounced Seiko as opposed to Psycho. I don't know why I pronounced it that way, referring to the watch manufacturer. And that's one of those things that I know. There's this funny thing that happens to me on these videos. Sometimes I just mispronounce things because I just have, I just have it wrong. That absolutely happens. But often what occurs, and this is an example with Seiko, I know the correct pronunciation, and I've said the correct pronunciation in my life numerous times, but then when I'm on the video, I do this strange second-guessing thing where I think, am I remembering this correctly? It must be the other way. And then I'll kind of pull an incorrect reverse psychology on myself. It's the strangest thing. Sometimes I do just not have the correct pronunciation. I will acknowledge that. But in this case, and I only bring it up because I remember thinking in that moment when I was trying to pronounce Seiko that, that it's the other way. And then Anyway, strange psychological phenomenon. Moving on, Dragon Traces wanted to convey the full meaning of pro bono, which is an abbreviation of Dragon Traces had here pro bono publica, and then Rosie Fay 7283 replied to point out it's pro bono publico. The adjective agrees with the noun and gender. So anyway, pro bono publico is for the public good. And Dragon Traces added, too many years working in law offices where every mention of pro bono work elicits cringes regardless of what may be required. So thank you for that. And that personal experience. Oh, and then another bit here from Dragon Traces, who points out KP stands for Kitchen Police, whereas I had remembered it as Kitchen Patrol. Dragon Traces adds, there's far more cleaning involved than food prep, and one of the meanings of to police is to clean or put in order. That's fair enough. Kathleen Quinn does reply to say it is also known as Kitchen Patrol. That was what I remembered, but I do think it is more properly Kitchen Police. Anyway, Kathleen Quinn goes on to add, many military personnel and veterans joke that KP really stands for keep peeling. I had not heard that one. That's pretty good. Rahul Ricky 6000 said, I also guessed Alan Aldo won his Emmys for MASH. It was specifically 5 for MASH and 1 for his episodes in The West Wing. So there we go. Out of 6. And then Travis Fraser 21 says, while your initial answer was correct for the prefix meaning 1 billionth, nano, other possible guesses with 4 letters could have been pico, which is 1 trillionth, or the less common Atto, 1/quintillionth. There we go. And pico, I've certainly heard of pico and atto. Pico I've heard of more frequently than atto, but I didn't think of either of them during the time. It's good that I didn't, because nano was the one that was accurate. Regarding the phrase get out of Dodge, meaning to flee, Brian Spurrier 7427 explains the Dodge in Get Out of Dodge is Dodge City, Kansas. It was a particularly violent Wild West town, and the phrase comes from the 1950s radio drama Gunsmoke, where the sheriff used it while driving out criminals. There we go. And Victoria Rajishka, who is a benefactor of this channel, explains lot simply means flight in Polish. So there we go. Lot, the airline, means flight. And that is that, I think, for the comments from yesterday's puzzle. So thank you to everybody who left those. I enjoyed them as always, and hope you did as well. I will be back tomorrow, of course, with another crossword, in this case, a Friday crossword, the first of 2 themeless puzzles for the week, so do join me then. But until that point, please have an excellent remainder of your Thursday. Take care.